When you activate WooCommerce, it typically sends you through an onboarding process where it will ask you to answer a bunch of questions to help you set up the settings. I've already dismissed that. I'm just going to show you how to access those same settings if you did not want to go through that onboarding process or if you wanted to make modifications after going through it. So in the back end under WooCommerce, you will see settings. And now I want to warn you that there's a lot of information on here, and some of the tabs have multiple links under them. So you'll want to go through all of that, pay particular attention, and adjust things as you see fit based on your location, based on your needs, based on your requirements. So starting with the General tab, this is the address that is associated with your business. If you decide to physically ship things yourself, for example, signed paperbacks that you would have in your garage that you sign and mail to people, this address would be relevant depending on the plugins you install to determine the shipping costs. Depending on what you do and what other plugins you install, it could also impact your calculated tax rates. So make sure you fill this in and that you enter the correct information for your business. You will also want to scroll down and determine where you sell to. So if you want to offer signed paperbacks only to US customers, because you know that international shipping for paperbacks is really expensive, maybe you just want to say sell to specific countries and then you start typing United States and that's it. You can add multiple ones, just start typing. These are global settings for your entire store. For me, I'm just going to sell to all countries. I'm not shipping anything myself, and also I own my rights to my ebooks, so I'm not limited by that. If you have sold certain rights for certain ebooks or audiobooks and you cannot sell those in other regions, make sure to keep that in mind. This may be the same or it may be different. Where are you going to ship things to? So I'm going to ship to all the countries I sell to. And I'm not going to assume any default location because if you do select a default location, it could mess around with your tax rates. So I recommend leaving this empty. Taxes is a big can of worms. Talk to your accountant. This will depend on where you live. When you sell directly, it's not the same type of income as when you earn royalties from Amazon selling your books. Once you start selling directly to your readers, direct sales can be taxable, and the tax rate may depend on how much you're earning, your location, and a lot more factors. So talk to an accountant. For me, I need to enable that because my business is registered in Canada. I have to collect GST, which is our goods and services tax of 5% to all Canadian customers. If you want to enable the use of coupon codes globally, you can do that here. And that's just a sub option depending on if you intend on having multiple codes. Decide the currency that your store will use and the way you want your prices to be formatted, then save your changes. If you've enabled tax rates and calculations, that tax tab will appear. We'll go through that shortly. Now, products. This by default should be the shop page. If you've renamed it, it's possible it's called something else. You decide what happens after people add a product to the cart. And there's also an image here that will have been self-populated. That's the placeholder image. If you don't want that, you can replace it with an image that you've uploaded to your media folder. Then you can paste the entire URL for that image. If you plan on shipping physical items, what units do you personally use? Is it kilograms and centimeters? You decide here by selecting your units. This will impact all of your products in the store. And this is where if you want ratings to be available and viewable, you can enable them here. But these are the ratings for the products sold on your store. If you decide to enable it, there's a few more options as well. Now, like I said, here you've got extra steps. Make sure to go through those blue items. If you plan on selling physical goods, stock management is important. You may only have 20 printed copies, so you don't want to outsell more than you have. So this is how long, if somebody's on your store right now shopping and they're busy, the dog is barking, they got distracted, how many minutes will their order keep that stock on hold while they're still shopping? You can enable low stock or out of stock notifications, and then you tell it where to send those emails if you're running low, and you determine what those thresholds are. Do you want to hide those items that are no longer available or not? You can save your changes. And then downloadable products. Typically, if you're planning on selling ebooks and audiobooks, you will not be using downloadable products. You will be using virtual products and using BookFunnel to deliver those files. So this does not pertain to most of you. If you want to allow people to download other things and you're not connecting with BookFunnel to take care of the delivery, then you may want to play with those settings here. Under tax, there's a lot of options, and again, this is not tax advice nor legal advice. Talk to your accountant. For me, I'm entering prices exclusive of tax. That way, Canadians are taxed the 5% in addition to the prices shown, and I base the tax on the shipping address. And there's also different tax rates you can do, determining how the taxes are added up. Now, if I go to standard rates, this is where I manually put in, because my tax situation is simple, I added a country code, CA for Canada, and all of Canada, it's 5%, and I also tax the shipping. So that's all I had to do. You could insert multiple rows. So for example, if in Canada and then in Alberta, or specific zip codes, if you need to target a county, you would have to come up with all of the zip codes inside that county, or possibly it's a municipal sales tax that is applicable. This all varies depending on where you live, how much you're selling, how you're registered, and all of that. So I'm just going to remove that selected row because I don't need it. There's also plugins that will let you automatically calculate that. There's also a premium service called TaxJar that figures out if you're approaching Nexus for various states. But like I said, this is not accounting advice. Talk to an accountant to determine what your situation is like, where you may have to charge taxes. So these are taxes that you collect and then you need to remit to various levels of government. That's separate from your taxes that you do at the end of the year. This is goods and services type tax. The same way if you go to the corner store and you buy whatever products, sometimes those products are taxed. These kinds of taxes, that's what I'm talking about here. Under shipping, I don't currently have anything set up for shipping because I'm not planning on shipping anything. This is a separate store here. And under shipping, I have Printful shipping. If you plan on selling merchandise, refer to my other video about Printful. I have enabled this shipping method. That way I get Printful to calculate shipping because they are creating the products and they are shipping them from wherever they create them to the customer's address. So I don't have any shipping zones for my situation. If you're planning on mailing out paperbacks that you sign or hardbacks that are coming from you physically, you will likely want to play with shipping zones. This is where you can say that in California, you would charge $3. In other places, you would charge a different number. But this doesn't factor in how heavy the order is. So if somebody orders 50 books versus one book, the $3 versus $10 may not work for you. So this is a very, very limited way to handle shipping. If you plan on shipping paperbacks that you are signing yourself or not, but you are physically mailing them yourself, and you want to be able to charge different shipping costs based on how heavy the box is and where it's going to, you may need a premium plugin such as table rate shipping. If you go to WooCommerce.com and then look at table rate shipping, typically there are videos that explain how it works, but this is a plugin that I've used where you apply different shipping classes to different items so that way you get more accurate shipping costs. There's also different shipping plugins like UPS or FedEx or things like that that are premium plugins that may help you with the shipping. But for authors selling ebooks and audiobooks directly and using BookFunnel for delivery, you will not need to set up any shipping. Shipping is only for physical products. And if you use Printful, like I said, Printful can take care of those calculations for you without you having to pay for a premium plugin. Look below the video for an affiliate link for Printful. Under payments, this is important. You want to get paid. So by default, PayPal Standard will be installed. You need to enable it by toggling the switch, and then you need to enter your credentials. Before you do that, make sure you've got a healthy dose of patience because PayPal likes to change their interface, and when you click to find things, you end up on broken links. So I will do my best to tell you how to retrieve that information, but be aware that it may not be easy to set up. When you click on Manage, first you need to enable that. That is the same thing as the toggle switch did on the previous page. You need to enter the email address that will receive the payments. So when people put in an order, it's being sent to my PayPal account associated with this email address. This is very, very, very important. Now this here, I recommend you use those settings. Again, make sure that the receiver email is the same email address as above email address where the money will go. So triple check that. This information here is what will be very tricky to find. It tells you to go to Profile, Profile and Settings, My Selling Tools, Website Preferences, and then copy that. Chances are it may not be that easy. So when you log in to PayPal, first of all, you need to have a business account. If you only have a personal PayPal account, follow the steps to upgrade your PayPal account to a business account. Now, if you go over your name here and go to Account Settings, you will be taken to this page here. Again, it's possible your interface will be very different. PayPal keeps changing things. We want to access the API credentials here, so you're going to click Update or Setup. And in here, you're going to go for the MVP SOAP API Integration Classic. Note, I've had this PayPal account for a long time, so if you don't see this, it's possible you need to accept or block payments from your online stores before setting up APIs. The section just below where I'm pointing to right now. So if you don't see what I'm about to show you, maybe go through the Manage PayPal Checkout Settings first until you see the MVP SOAP API Integration Classic. Click Manage API Credentials. And here you will see three different things. I'm not going to click on them, but if you click on Show, it will be a long string of something. Copy that, and this goes in a different part. This goes to this live API username, and then API password. If you click Show, and then you will see it's a thing that you paste here, and then same deal with the signature. You click Show, copy that, double check that you did not include extra spaces, and then you put that there. So that's the bottom part. But we still have to do this PayPal identity token, and that's the complicated thing. So here I'm just going to click Done to get out of there. I'm going to go back to Account Settings and go down to the bottom here. I have Website Payments, Website Preferences, click Update. Now, this is the part that you may or may not see. If I scroll down, I have my identity token right here. If you do not see this, I believe the way to make it appear is first to turn on the auto return feature, but you also need to go to your site and create a page where after payment people will be redirected there. Then you can turn it off because you don't need it, but you need to go to your site, go to pages, add a brand new page, call it Thank You PayPal, publish it, look at that URL. So this URL is what I would put into here and then save that. And note, you should edit that page to include text in case PayPal checks it. There's an example just above the field that says, thank you for your payment. Your transaction has been completed and a receipt for your purchase has been emailed to you. So copy and paste that line, put it on that page that you just created. And then reload this page and hopefully you will get an identity token. But the page does need to exist. Once you see the identity token, copy and paste that token and place it right here. And then you can turn this off and the token is still available for me to use. You can create a custom prefix for your invoices. I don't think it matters. A note here, because you will be wondering when you first start receiving orders, the order numbers are not sequential. They will start based on the post ID last used. It's going to be random numbers and it's going to skip a bunch. If you really care about the invoice number and you want the first one to be 1 and the second one to be 2 and the third one to be 3, you need to buy a premium plugin for that. I don't personally think it's worth it. Plus, getting the higher up order numbers make you look bigger than you are, so it's not bad. Under payment actions, you definitely want to capture that. And if you want to use a logo on the PayPal page, I highly recommend you do that. You just need to create an image that is 150 pixels wide by 50 pixels high, and it's really, really tiny. So I'll show you. I uploaded it to media. So this is my PayPal logo. It's pretty ugly, but there's not much you can do in 150 by 50. So after it's been uploaded, I just copy this and paste it into here. And this is how I have my logo next to PayPal's during the checkout process. Once you've done that, save your changes. Be aware that you will need to test this, but because it's PayPal, you cannot send and receive from the same account. So you'll need to ask a friend, relative, a spouse, somebody to test it for you. There's a workaround where you could use your credit card and not log in through PayPal, but then again, the order will be put on hold instead of processing automatically. If you don't want to use PayPal, you could also install Stripe. It's a different payment method. Stripe has a free plugin, so you go to plugins. You would need to create an account with Stripe. They have similar fees. Both PayPal and Stripe keep 2.9% plus 30 cents, I believe. You just add new, look for Stripe, and WooCommerce Stripe Payment Gateway is the one sold by WooCommerce. If you decide to install this one, once you've installed and activated it, then under here you will see under payments a new payment method. You could then enable it. You can have multiple payment methods enabled. That's fine. For example, on this site here, I have PayPal Standard as well as Stripe. Both have been enabled at the same time. Under accounts and privacy, you can control things whether guests can check out or if you force them to create a customer account. You can also enable some GDPR related features or the California Privacy Act if you can remove personal data from orders on request. There's various things here that you can control, as well as how long you want to keep inactive accounts, pending orders, failed orders, canceled orders, completed orders. Keep in mind that some of that may be affected by where you live. For tax reasons, you may need to keep all orders on file for up to 6 years, 7 years, based on what your government requires from you. Emails is actually very important. With WooCommerce, there are many automated emails. When a reader comes to your site and puts in an order, you will receive a new order notification email. So go in here and change the email address if this is not where you want to receive those email notifications. If the order is canceled or if it fails, by default, you should be getting those email notifications. The customer also gets an email when they put in their order. If it goes through PayPal, fine, they will be getting the processing order email. If for some reason PayPal doesn't quite work correctly or it's not sure if you got the money or not, they will get the order on hold email. Then once you check that the PayPal money is in your account, then you can mark it as processing, and this will fire another email to the customer letting them know you're now working on processing their order. There's also a completed order email that sometimes you have to fire manually, sometimes gets fired automatically. For example, if I have a Printful order that's completely fulfilled by Printful, once they've printed the item and shipped it, they will mark the order as completed, which will fire the email to the customer, letting them know that their order has been processed and it's on their way to them. Similar deal, if you refund the order, the customer will get an email. There's also a note, same with Printful. After they complete the order, there's also a note that will accompany that with the tracking order if applicable. And if they change their passwords or request a new account, so when they put in their first order, depending on what account settings you have, they may or may not get this new email. Please refer to a separate video about processing orders where I will show you examples of those emails. I'm just trying to explain the concept here with the overall picture. So there are some global settings for all of those emails that you control down here. So the from name, the from email address, so make sure it's consistent with what you've been doing so it doesn't go in people's junk mail. There's also an email template, so you can, I'm going to right click here to open it in a new tab. And this is what I did for this particular template here. So I modified the header, I put in an image. Don't put it too large because it will be really, really tall and large. And there's the default template, and you can control some colors here. And there's also the footer that you can control. Because it's processed by my company, that's why I'm marking it in the bottom of the email so they're not surprised when they see something else on PayPal. So this for the header image, I just uploaded it to the media folder. This is the one here, so I can tell you this one is 319 wide by 100 pixels high, 8 kilobytes, so it's very small. Once I uploaded it here, I copied this URL and then I put it down here. This is how the logo is visible above the email. This is the footer text. And this is the base color. So you can see with the demo that the base color is the link colors, the titles, and the header. So you control that. Background color is white, and this is a very, very light gray for the body. So if you notice, the white goes on the outside and the light gray is for the email itself. And the color of the text is black. So these are your options, and this is new as well. This is an improvement that WooCommerce has made because it's quite complex to set up a WooCommerce source. So I recommend you subscribe to those emails to learn more until you feel comfortable with WooCommerce. There's a lot to learn here. If you want to add something to those messages, for example, for processing order, for the store here where I sell ebooks, I'm going back to WooCommerce Settings, Emails, and for processing order, I added this message at the bottom. So for ebook orders, you will receive a separate email from BookFunnel with time-sensitive links to download your books. Maybe I should put this in case they've just ordered one. It should be in your inbox within 5 minutes. If you don't see it, check your spam, junk folder, or promotions tab. And that was the default message, so I just added text before that default message so that when they order an ebook, they will know to be on the lookout for the BookFunnel email that delivers the files. So you can go through individual emails if you wanted to. The middle part of those emails is really complicated to modify, so I'm not going to get into that. And honestly, for the benefit of tweaking things, it's not, if you think of the 80-20 rule, it's not worth it. The emails are generic enough that they will work. Under integration, you should not have to mess around with that unless you need to know where people are and you want to pre-fill that. That's just more complicated. I typically don't use that. And under advanced, you will want to double check that your pages are correct. The cart is the cart, the checkout is the checkout. These pages were all created, the top 3 here were created when WooCommerce was installed. Terms and condition is a page that you need to create yourself. If you don't know where to start, termsfeed.com has some information here. They also have a service where you can basically answer a bunch of questions. They will spit out a text document that you can then use on your site as your own terms and conditions. So I recommend this as a starting point for creating your terms and conditions. Do not modify those things here. Do not change those things either. In a separate video, I will talk about how to connect with BookFunnel, and that is done through the REST API. So this was it for the WooCommerce settings. I know there's a lot of information there. It will take you a little while to go through it. And at any time, you can always come back and finesse your settings, add new tax rates, new shipping zones, payment methods, and all of that.